welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a stroke survivor and grateful recovering alcoholic. And today I'm going to be talking about changing the things I can't accept. And if that doesn't sound right to you, you're probably onto something, but hear me out. So the serenity prayer is at the core of my program. And when I say my program, I'm referring to that for my sobriety and for my stroke recovery. So the serenity prayer says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. In my morning meeting this morning, I was thinking about how I deserve to be happy. I deserve happiness. And I deserve to use my disability insurance as a disabled person. And I refuse to accept the denial of my disability claim. So I began requesting my health records today from all of my doctors. On Friday, after the case manager called and said I was probably going to be denied, I thought I needed to call on the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You know, she said, you'll have to appeal in December when you go to the neuropsychiatrist. And I was just infuriated, really, because the neuropsychiatrist is looking for totally different things that are happening. What she's telling me is that my records that she received do not show that I'm visually impaired. And how can that possibly be when I can't do anything from day to day? I mean, you all know I've been sitting here for 4 months inside these walls. The only time I leave is to go to the doctor and to walk around the block. I go get my hair done every 6 weeks, and I get to go get my nails done every other week, and that's like my half a mile around the corner from my house. So to be sitting here like this and have somebody pretty much tell me like nothing in your health records say that you're visually impaired I was just beside myself, infuriated. And I didn't really know what to do about it. Like I thought that, well, what can I do? She's the insurance company. She talked to my doctors. My doctors sent their stuff. Like, what can I do? But then my boyfriend said this to me. So he talked about, and he has said this before, but it was just, I guess, sometimes you can hear the same thing 20 times, and then there's one time you hear it, and it really is like, huh. And so he said for me to treat this, business with insurance like my job. And that's what my doctor had told me in the very beginning when I started on short-term disability. She's like, this is your job now. So what he said was, what would you do if it was work? Like if it was when you were working. And I thought, well, at work, I would change the things that I can't accept. Like when things were going on at work and I thought they should be a different way, I just did it. I changed things. And if that meant that I needed to go sit with the president of the company and talk about internal communications and some suggestions for how we can communicate better within the company, that's what I did. I wrote an entire strategy about it. So I think that it's important for me to spend more time evaluating what I'm accepting and with whether there is something that I can change. You know, when I so when she called me on Friday, and by she I mean the case manager, when she called me and said that I was most likely going to be denied, um, she said the information I have does not support a disability. Um, and because I was so infuriated, what I wanted to do, I can barely articulate how mad I was, but I knew instinctively that if I react to this young woman, if I react to her in a way that is emotional, I could damage my relationship with her. And why is that important? Because I need her. I still need her. And I couldn't really see beyond my anger. I couldn't really put together what my plan was and why I would need her. But nonetheless, I knew that I needed that relationship. So had I reacted, I would have damaged it. And instead, what I said to her was, I know you're just doing your job. And what she had read to me that was sticking in my mind was that she said that my paperwork says that I can drive and that I can read. And that was just stuck in my craw all weekend. I was thinking, how is that possible? Like, why? Why on earth would any of my doctors had say that I could drive? Because I haven't been able to ride in a car with my eyes open since June of 2021. Now, no, that's a lie. There were some times in 2022 that I drove and I shouldn't have. It was almost like driving drunk where you can't focus on anything, but I did it because I thought sorry to scare anybody who's on the roads who was on the roads with me, but I did it because I thought I should be able to. And I was uncomfortable doing it, but I thought, well, this is my new normal. Well, it was not. It was not acceptable. I would drive from my work or from my home to my work, which is 15 minutes, was 15 minutes. And by the time I got there, I had to sit in my office with the lights off for an hour and in order to, because my head was hurting so bad. So, sometimes when I say this stuff out loud, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, I was just so much in denial back then. Anyway, all of my doctors know that I've been struggling with even riding in the car. And at this point, since I regressed at the beginning of this year, um, it's hard for me to even, walk around the block. I talk about that all the time, much less drive. I cannot drive. I cannot ride in the car with my eyes open. Um, so I was so stuck on how could that possibly be? So, this morning I woke up and I ended up talking to a friend of mine, an ex-coworker, and he was talking about his dad, and his dad is up in age. I guess I don't know how old he is, but we're gonna say up in age. Anyway, he is at the point where he's dealing with, as we get older, we're dealing with more and more medical issues and stuff. And the things that he deals with also with insurance and doctors and stuff, he's like, he said to his son, my friend, he's like, people just start accepting that this is okay, that to be treated like this, to not get the things that we deserve, they think it's okay. And he's like, he refuses to accept that. And I thought I was already going down that road this morning, that I was like, This is not okay." Um, but that really just, was the cherry on top for me, to have the commitment to making a change, you know, the courage to change the things I can. The thing is, I didn't know that this was something I could change. I just thought, okay, this is what's happening to me. Well, I talk about all the time, life doesn't happen to me. I need to get engaged. And so this morning I started on my mission. So I started sending messages and calling all of my doctors to send me all of my health records. I thought, if they can't do it, if they can't do this shit right, I'll do it for them. That's what I was thinking. Because what I was thinking is, when I used to work, it's not a great trait, but I thought, if this person can't do this, I'm gonna do it instead. Um, and I did that a lot, and that's just the way that I roll. Good or bad, that's the way that it is. So I thought, if this young woman for insurance is telling me that her documentation does not conclude that I have a visual impairment, then I'm going to look at the same shit that she's looking at. So I asked her to send me all of her documentation, and then I started reaching out to all my doctors. So what ended up happening is I received my health records from my optometrist and vision therapist. And it, in fact, said on it that I am okay to safely operate a motor vehicle, and I am fully capable of reading newspaper print. And I can't even tell you, my blood was boiling. I thought, why was he not even paying attention? Was he just filling out a pile of paperwork and not actually looking at my file? Did he talk to the vision therapist? Because the vision therapist didn't even, like, stopped me from even coming into the office anymore, because riding in the car with my eyes closed was too difficult for me and caused my symptoms to be so bad that I couldn't do therapy once I got to the office. So for him to say that I can drive doesn't make any sense. So I called them. I called them and I sent them an email, and I said, "This is incorrect. I don't know why it says this, but it's incorrect." And I left a message with that. Anyway, the receptionist person, who is more involved than a receptionist. I think she's actually kind of part of the managing the paperwork and such. Anyway, she called me back and was extremely apologetic, and she was aware of my severe symptoms that I have. And she was like, something must have been done in error here. And I said, okay, I will call the insurance company and have them send another copy of the questionnaire. It's a vision impairment questionnaire for the doctor to fill out again. But he's going to have to write a letter also, because she had said something about, well, we can maybe just change it and he can um, initial it. And I was like, no, like, I need a letter that says why they made this error, and I need a new questionnaire filled out, you know? So anyway, they're gonna do that tomorrow morning, and I called my insurance company and well, no, I sent an email, which, side note, me doing all of this work, this is why it was so frustrating, because it's difficult on my head to be coordinating all of this paperwork and emails and stuff. It's very, very challenging for me to read the emails and all of this stuff. So, but you know that. So, I sent her a follow up that said, this is what I'm doing because it's wrong. My paperwork is wrong, and I don't know why it says that, but it needs to be corrected. So, I took the action. And this is what I feel like today compared to Friday. What it makes me think is I can always be better than who I am. My best is inside me. I just have to surface it. And the way that I feel like I did that from Friday to today is processing my emotions. Um, the critical piece of all of this was that when she told me, you're probably going to be denied, I did not react. I wasn't happy. And I told her, I'm not happy. I don't know what to do with this. And, but I was kind. I was frustrated, but kind. And the only reason that I can do that, or that I am cognizant of it, is because of my program. Because I know that if I say something or do something that I'll regret later, as a part of my program, I have to go back and make amends to that person. And I don't want to have to do that. That's the last thing I want to have to do, is make amends to somebody that I was mean to. That's even worse than being nice to them in the first place. So I think about that when something makes me angry. I think I would much rather be kind in my response now than be angry and then have to make amends later and then be super nice? So I'm still being a little selfish if you think about it. um, so I'm the one who sets my own goals. I'm the one who sets the patterns in my behavior. And yes, it's hard to accept the things I can't change. And yes, it does take courage to change the things I can. But here's the thing, this is my point here. I bet there are more times than not that that I can recognize that I've given up on something that I can't accept because I thought I couldn't change it. I'll say that again. I bet that there are more times than I recognize that I've given up on something I can't accept because I thought I couldn't change it. And I'll tell you why I thought I couldn't change it, because I was emotional about it, because I was angry about it, I was sad about it. And once I was able to work through those feelings over the weekend, then I was able to see, you know what? There is something I can change. There's something I can change here. I don't have to accept this. I don't have to sit here for 2 months with no income because I don't have a job and I don't have an approved disability claim. Um, I don't have to sit here and not be able to pay my bills uh, because somebody has made an error here. I can get involved and figure out where is the error. Um, and so that's what I did. So the most difficult decisions are deciding to act, to turn towards the challenge, to walk uphill instead of downhill. That decision exists at the point where we stop complaining and either do something about it or accept it as it is. I initially wanted this episode to be about acceptance and courage with some tips on acceptance, but my experience led me down another path today. So don't be too quick to accept. I feel like this is the opposite of what we hear all the time about learning about acceptance. Don't be too quick to accept because there may be something there that you can change, but it takes work on the inside in order to figure out what that thing is. First, you have to unravel emotions and make peace with the situation as it stands. You know, breathe. It's impossible to think reasonably when I'm pissed off. And for me, it took 2 days to be able to talk calmly to my doctors and be friendly yet assertive. And luckily, she called me on a Friday and I had Saturday and Sunday because they weren't open. Nobody was open. So had I decided, I learned something today. Had I decided to start reaching out the next day after she had called me, I may have not been as kind, and calm. I would probably be kind, but I don't know that I would have been calm because I could actually feel myself bubbling, feel my anger bubbling up when I read the vision impairment questionnaire. So em- embrace the superwoman or superman inside of you that protects you. And then cultivate courage and act with kindness. I think that that's key for my program is no matter what has been done to me or said to me, to respond with kindness. I can deal with my emotions later, but I certainly don't want to deal with my emotions while my mouth is open because that is it's just not pretty. And honestly, I felt more like me today than I have in months. The best of me is so much easier to access when I'm prioritizing my recovery daily. And I get to do that with this podcast. One of the things that I talked about, I don't know, maybe it was a month ago now, or maybe 3 weeks ago, how I am trying to understand this new Rachel uh, 3.0. I think I posted a episode called My Resume and some other my mission statement and stuff like that. And it's really me trying to process like what is this identity? What is this new identity? Well, what I learned today is there is a part of my identity that's unstoppable and it hasn't gone away and it feels really good. So I had a good day today. I did my yoga. I'm still doing my yoga. So I hope whoever picked up their habit is still encouraged and still doing it. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.